Thank you for staying up late with us here on The Factor Uncensored. We have a great program and great guests tonight. We begin first, as we all know, with the case of 11-year-old Audrii Cunningham has taken a tragic turn. Her body was found in a river Tuesday afternoon.
I have grandchildren around that age, and it's a horrible, evil world that we live in.
This has broken everyone's heart. Don Stephen McDougal is now the chief person of interest in this case. He's expected to face a capital murder charge. He's currently in jail on an unrelated assault charge. McDougal wasn't a stranger to Audrii's family. He was a friend of the little girl's father and lived in a trailer behind the family's home. The sheriff says McDougal was supposed to bring her to school last Thursday. So far, he hasn't told investigators what happened when they left the home. How do we know and how do we protect children from this kind of evil? Joining us to talk about it here on The Factor Uncensored, trafficking survivor and advocate and mother, Matilda Saragosa, and Andy Kahn of Houston Crime Stoppers. So, Matilda, when you see this as a mother, as a parent, and we all watched it, we remembered when she disappeared, we remember the search, and we remember the end results. What is this like to see this with this little girl?
I mean, it was just mind-blowing just to think that you sent your child off to school and the baby never even arrived. And you're thinking that you sent her off with somebody that you could trust. You entrusted an individual to take your baby to school, and then things just turned for the worse. What do you do as a mom? You know, could you just imagine the panic, you know, the crying and, you know, everything that was involved with that? I mean, I don't even want to imagine, if you want me to be honest with you. I just feel like you have people in your lives, and you have to look at them in a different way, and it is such an evil world out there that you can't entrust just anybody anymore. And I tell my own grandbabies, it's just unfortunate that I have to keep them so close to me, and I feel so bad because when we go to places, I feel like I'm their drill sergeant and stay right here and don't move and don't, you know, get in the car, and you know, we have to function in that capacity, but that's just the safety measures that you have to take nowadays.
And of course, Andy, what Matilda said was trust. And what we always do is trust people we don't really truly know. And then we start looking into their backgrounds after everything has already been done, when it's too late. So for those parents out there who are concerned about children, not only in their community, but their own children, what would you advise them in a situation where you have neighbors and you trust them with those neighbors, but you don't really know those neighbors?
You know, there's ways you can find out about your neighbors, and there's a way you can find out about people that you're entrusting your child's care with. Like this particular case, this puts the spotlight on. They allowed this known career habitual violent felon to basically take care of an 11-year-old girl, entrusted him to take her to school. Whether or not they knew about his prior criminal history, I don't know. But this is a warning and a signal to other parents out there. If you're going to leave your child with another adult, you need to do a criminal history check, and it's very easy to do. Everything that I do, that you do, anybody can do. Just go to the district clerk's website, register, and run a criminal history and see if this person, and you would have saw exactly what we all saw with him. Multiple convictions, 3 different counties, in and out of prison for his entire adult life. You would have at least known that. Whether or not you would have entrusted your 11-year-old girl with him or not, I don't know, but at least you would have had that knowledge to make that decision.
And there's also a website for sex offenders out there, right? Where the average person, you don't have to have a login code or anything. You can just put in the name, possibly the address, and figure out who's living next door to me, who am I allowing my child to ride to school with, right, Matilda?
That's absolutely correct. You want to do your due diligence. You want to search the individuals that are inside your life, even with the boyfriends. I tell my daughter, you know, we have a dating scene now, and people think that it's okay to have somebody come live inside. I work with the CPS system. I work in and out of courts. We find parents that are, you know, highly trying to hurry up and find somebody to get their children so we can keep them out of care, but do we do what we're supposed to do, like the way we're supposed to do it, and make sure that these kids are going to be protected in a way that nothing's going to happen to them in the process? So we have to do that backtracking, looking at these records, running those criminal checks. There's public data you can get. There's ways to find this information outside, inside, whatever. Ask questions, look for credentials, you know, Google search, whatever you have to do to keep those babies safe.
You know, Isaiah, and you brought up a very good point about the registry. That was actually a law that we pushed forward in 1999. But what this case clearly shows is that we still got to make adjustments because there's a glitch in the system. This particular defendant, now charged with capital murder, he had actually been convicted of enticing a child. It was pled down from attempted indecency with a child. And when you look at the court documents, it's fairly obvious that he had some sexual issues with an underage minor. Thankfully, he didn't complete the act, but the intent was clearly there. But enticing a child is not one of the offenses that someone has to register as a sex offender. That's going to change this next legislative session. Mark my words. We are going to pass a law, and we're going to name it the Audrii Cunningham law, and any offender who's convicted of enticing a child will be mandated to register.
And you're not just saying this, Andy. You've had conversations with legislators already.
I did, and I had several conversations with legislators that are here as well. I've already spoken to several. I cannot imagine anybody being against this. This should receive bipartisan support. There's zero harm in adding this offense to the registry. Maybe if they knew he was a registered sex offender, maybe they wouldn't have entrusted their child's care with him. I don't know, but there's no harm in doing that.
All right. We want to thank you both for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored and for that valuable information to parents out there. If you're going to leave your child with a neighbor or someone you don't truly know, do that background